All right, what's up, everybody? This is Diego from Kailua.
And this is Carlos. And today, not like I was saying last week, I'm going to just read this bio just because I Googled a bunch of different websites. So I put it together. I Frankensteined it.
Hey.
Keeping
it current.
I know. A political activist and strategist who's worked in various political campaigns, civic engagement, and a social activist. Has traveled to various parts of the U.S., pursuing comedy in cities like New Orleans, Chicago, and has even performed a few times for the notable Laugh Factory in L.A. and Ice House in Pasadena. Grew up in El Monte and is now based out of Fontana. She's currently campaigning and running to be the next mayor in the city of Fontana, La Cabrona comedy. Joz Sida. Did I miss anything?
No, actually, pretty great summary. Love it. But I think the funniest part is that how I became La Cabrona. I think people always ask that. And I think that was probably the most... has been the most exciting part of growing up as an adult to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that story for when we are talking.
I know. All right. Because I actually was back and forth on whether or not I should say that. Because I was trying to figure out, like, is that a name she still goes by, not go by, you know? So.
I mean, I think it's honestly a name that it's a description of who I am. La Cabrona being a Cabrona used to have a bad, like, stigma. Es una Cabrona, right? But as you get older now, being a Cabrona is actually pretty powerful because it means that you don't take anything from anybody. You do what you got to do. You sign up your own lane and you take that ride on your own path. And no matter what, nobody's going to tell you not to do it. And usually a Cabrona is somebody who goes above the fray. It doesn't stay to like social norms.
Right. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that, you know. But we're very excited to have you here. I think Carlos and I were talking last week, you know. I think even given the current climate, right? Like I think it's very important that how like Latinas engage in politics. So we wanted to go ahead and like invite you here. So we're grateful for you to be here, you know. And I think we're excited to learn from you, you know. But I think also the opportunities that comes with younger blood entering politics, you know, which we've been able to see like across the nation, you know. Yeah. So we're interested in learning more from you, you know. I think a little bit about how I even came to know about you, right? Carlos had mentioned that he had gone to like city council, to like a few meetings and things like that, and then we kind of just started talking about like the importance of like civic engagement because I'm new to the IE. You know, so we were just discussing like local politics and things like that. And he had mentioned that he had come across you, you know, and then I was able to find you on Instagram and things like that. And then I saw your campaign for mayor of Fontana, you know. So again, Joz, thank you for being here. We're very excited, you know.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. And I moved to Fontana in 2021, kind of like the height of, I think that's when everything was going down.
Yeah, 2022, 2023 with the street vendors.
Yeah, with the street vendors. And, you know, me and Diane then decided like, hey, let's try city council. It was more like her really trying to figure out what we can do, how we can get kind of civically engaged. And then that's when we went to a few city councils. I think we went to 3 until the 4th one when you were there. And there was just a bunch of people that were speaking that day.
Yeah.
And what I remember from that day is once we were done, we kind of all just, because we didn't know anybody, you know. And when we went outside and we all kind of just congregated and we were just in a big circle and we were just talking, do you remember that day at all?
Yeah.
Like what we talked about? And I think that's when you mentioned, I think I'm going to run for mayor. Like,
I think I'm going to do it. And it's always a scary situation too, because when we were all outside, I was still when meetings were at 7 p.m. And it was just to be in community. And for me, I wanted to meet people because I was excited for the first time in a long time, people were engaged. Yeah. See, I've known of this mayor since I was 20 years old. When she first ran for mayor for re-election. So see that the way that it panned out was she was appointed to city council to take an empty seat that was there. Then she just ran for re-election, right? Yeah. Then she was appointed to mayor. So then she was never really ran to earn those seats. Yeah. She was appointed, and then she ran as an incumbent for the last now 4 terms, which would be 16 years.
So it's 4 years per term?
No, so it's 4 years per term, but there's no term limits.
Oh, so you can just keep. So
you could just keep mayor until the day that you give it to somebody else. You anoint somebody else. That's how it's been forever. And the guy who used to be mayor before when he resigned being mayor, he's now the executive director of a church that's in the community. It's called Water of Life, right? Water of Life, yeah. So and so a lot of it stays because Fontana is known to be this very traditional city that people stay here for decades and they're working class, right? But the younger generation is leaving as there's no good jobs or anything like that. So nobody was really engaged in what was going on in the city. And I was me and like 4 other people or 3 other people, and we were like the outsiders when I was young. So it made me definitely like scared of like, this is nasty, this is bad. How do I change the world, right? How do I do what I love, but I can't stay here because we're outnumbered, we're intimidated. And so that's when I ended up traveling the country, working on campaigns, kind of realizing that my path to where I am today was to kind of get all the strengths and skills that I needed to really come back and organize. But I didn't know that was going to be my path ultimately at the end, which is right now. And so when I came back and I started seeing that people actually were like, oh my, social media blew up, right? In the last like 15 years. So now people are like, oh my God, this is happening. What is going on? How we've been elected this person? Fontana, 70% Latino, highly Democratic. How can we keep electing the same person who is known to be a Republican, who's been in charge of the GOP in the Inland Empire, who's done all these things, who is anti-immigration? How can this person lead a high populist? Well, because these races are nonpartisan. And when it comes to the time of voting, people are like, oh, no, she's a person of color. Like, you know, she can't be like, you know, bad. So all that to say is that when I saw folks like yourself and your partner out there, it made me excited. It made me happy because it made me realize, game on. Like, we got people now. People are getting, like, their eyes are opening and let's go. But then a lot of things happen where they changed the city council meetings at 2 p.m.
That's early, though. When you think about it, like, young working class people to be able to go during the week at 2 p.m. Like, dude, I'm still clocked in.
Seriously, too. And then 2, they put security guards. So metal detectors, and you can't wear a mask even if you're afraid of COVID. If you do, you have to wear a clear mask that they offer you. And again, and really they don't promote city council meetings. They promote everything else, but they won't promote city council meetings. You have to be very involved to be like, oh, the agenda's online. Let me see what's going on. So people don't come anymore because that was like a form of censorship. And then that was 2023. Then Trump becomes president. Then we have Trump 2.0, like 5.0. At this point, I'm thinking it's like 10.0. And then again, people start realizing, oh, Fontana, a lot of the Inland Empire cities are now sanctuary cities, but we know that there's not a lot of protections for our community. So that's like, it's a lot. So historically, I've been involved. But it is a scary time. And I know we'll get to this, but like, you know, that's what led me to actually step up and be like, I'm ready because I know what it takes. And this is the perfect time for me as who I am as a person. And it comes with a lot of sacrifice, and we'll get deeper into that.
And I love that you mentioned that too, you know, because like originally I was from like South Central LA. And then I think within the last few years, I tried to get more involved locally. But then that's also when I realized like the lack of voter turnout, right? And how even that upholds like the current system, right? And it kind of resonates a little bit similar to what you mentioned, right? Especially when you have like those city council meetings being at 2 p.m., like a lot of the younger population is working, right? And so unless you're like a retiree or someone that stays at home, which is much of the older population, which data shows those are the ones that engage a lot more in voting. You know, so I do think that this new wave of like politics entering the U.S., I think is very interesting, you know, because we are seeing like we're seeing like a lot of disillusionment within both parties, right? We do tend to be like a 2-party system, but I think like a younger audience is much more interested in actual support towards the working class, but making that happen. You know, so again, like a huge shout out to you for like organizing, you know, and I think even taking the leap to run for mayor, you know, because it does come with sacrifice.
That leap is so important too, because I just recently you mentioned that this was never really like your plan. You know, you started traveling, you know, and then my question would be like, what was there like a moment in these past, you know, 16, 15 years where you realize, you know what, I think I want to do this. I think it's time for me, is like a moment or an experience. And if you can, you know.
So we're about to get deep, right? We're about to get deep. Let's go. So what happened was, I'm just kidding. So this was his reality. So I was very young. I always questioned why things were wrong in the world. Like why there was a lot of racism against Muslim folks. Because, for example, I'll be honest with you. So after September 11th, you know, a lot of things changed. I was at least 12 years old when September happened. September 11th happened. And then I started seeing like TSA and like, you know, how our Muslim brothers and sisters were being targeted because of their religion. And then I kept asking like why, to hear my family at that time when the planes were being, you know, falling down because they were hit by the planes with the Twin Towers. my family was like, oh, Saddam Hussein. Those are the first times I've heard words like that. And I was like, what is this all about? Then when I started doing my research and I started seeing how many injustices were going around the country, and then I realized that a lot of our immigrant communities were being hurt, it even made me even more upset, because I was like, this is supposed to be the land of the American dream. What is happening here? Why is it that a demographic of people is being targeted? Not only now, Middle Eastern, but Latinos, Latinas that look a certain way. And in 2005, 2006, 2007, I started organizing walkouts. I was trying to do a lot of stuff with like immigration. And I remember going on shows in Univision talking about the folks who, especially children that were, at that time, DACA wasn't even a thing. Right. So they were in the shadows, right? So I kept that consistency throughout my youth, until my dad kind of gave me a little scolding, and that scolding lived with me for the rest of my life. And what happened is that I had came out on television at a protest in Chicago, and I was out there like con la lucha que se sigue, right, protestando. And then my dad's relatives saw me on TV, and they called him, and they were like, hey, what is your daughter doing over here? She's on a protest. I wasn't even supposed to be there, right? Because imagine my last name Sida, so like that is not a common last name. We know who's who. Quienes son los primos, so they call my dad. So my dad flies out to Chicago, and he's like, ¿Qué pasó, mija? ¿Qué está pasando aquí? ¿Qué estás haciendo? And then we talked, and then he said, mija, look, in those, and I'm translating, he's like, in those beautiful historic buildings, there's men in suits and ties that are making all the decisions. He goes, what I need you to do is get your education and go in there and beat them at their own game and take a seat at that table. Because if not, you're on the menu. That was the first time I ever heard it.
Wow.
And I was like, dang, he's right. We could be screaming, we could be yelling, but if we don't get those seats, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Right.
And that became my journey of going into electoral politics, right?
Right.
And when I was 23, I ran for office. I ran for school board in Fontana.
Oh.
And I was super naive. I believed the best in everybody.
Yeah.
I believed the best in the political party system. I believed in all these things.
Like it works.
Like super gullible in many ways. I didn't have any malice. I wanted to do what was right.
Yeah.
I almost won. I didn't win, but I only campaigned for 2 months because, again, I didn't know any better, right? And I still almost came close to winning, so I was like, but still, I was like, I didn't know how to do anything. And that was what led my career in politics. So I ended up working on campaigns. I think I worked in over 50 campaigns in my career, traveling the country across from Hawaii all the way to Long Island, New York, Miami, Chicago, everywhere. And then to managing a state for a presidential candidate, to managing a national political PAC for the 2020 elections, 17 states, 1,000 staff. That was kind of at the peak of my career. And from those 13 years, let's just say maybe 12 years from when I ran to running all these campaigns, becoming a operative on the back end, they say never meet your heroes, right? And I always work with candidates I believed in. Candidates who were the underdog, the grassroots. I never went to work with somebody who I knew right now was going to win. It was like a shoo-in. But that's when I learned that there was such thing as shoo-ins and anointments. And no matter how hard you worked, the people, it was already going to be planned out. And it was a disillusion, right? Like constantly working your butt off 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for you to give everything you have for the person to already know that we're going to lose because it's already been, the person has already been picked no matter how hard you work.
We saw that with like Bernie and Hillary in 2016.
And that's one of the reasons I think we're having issues now, but that's a whole different topic. But what I'm saying, how all this led to this moment. So then around 2021, so I've always done stand-up comedy. I always loved it, but I was very underground about it. I used to, everywhere I travel for work, I would go and find my little open mic and do my thing. But then it wasn't until 2022, I was in Chicago, and some awesome Latina comics had seen me perform at an open mic, and they were like, it was January. I remember I was going to go to Germany because I'm going to go to Germany for like a month and just quarantine over there. And they messaged me and they were like, hey, one of our girls dropped out. We need somebody to step in at the Laugh Factory in Chicago. Do you want to take her spot? And look, I canceled that flight to Germany like nobody's business. I'm like, the Laugh Factory Chicago, like, let's go. And I went up on stage And that's when the Cabrona was born.
Oh.
Because I say the only Rona that I want right now is this Cabrona right here, right? So that was kind of like the staple. And then I like, I'm going to say like all the comics I killed. I did so well. And then I started producing my own shows in the southwest side of Chicago. How I ended up in Chicago, I got married and I was working at a super PAC, and I just was based out of Chicago. And so I started my comedy career there, and I started performing, doing festivals, and building a community with amazing Latina comics. We even did Latina Comedy Festival, and it was just incredible. And I did that up until I left in 2023. My partnership dissolved, and I ended up coming back home. And coming back home, I was very blessed. I landed a phenomenal job back home, which was super rare to find really good organizing jobs with like my own career that I have built in my home, because there's not that many. And I ended up getting a job as the first ever director of an environmental organization called Sierra Club San Gregorio, which is a chapter off of the Sierra Club National, where I cover both Riverside and San Bernardino counties. So I'm back. This is great. I'm home. I'm with people that love me no matter what. And one of the hardest times of my life. But I left comedy in Chicago, and I'm like, damn, that's a part of me, right? But then when I came back, they started telling me, hey, they're gonna blow up half of your mountain behind your house, and they just sold it, rezoned it, so they're gonna build homes. But they're taking down the wildlands that we had in the Jurupa Hills. And I was like, oh, heck no. So right away, the war again is like happening all over again. Like the shift hasn't ended. So then I started getting active again. And then I realized then all of a sudden the street vendor situation blew up too. That they're criminalizing, they're terrorizing our community. I'm like, oh my God. And in my mind, that's when, like I said, I saw all of you guys and I was like, dang. I was like, if they only knew that no matter how much we yell, it's not going to change anything. We have to get in there and take her out.
Kind of like full circle.
2023. So I knew that her election was up in 2026. She had just gotten reelected. But I was like, you know what, Joz? Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Take care of healing. And luckily in 2024, at the beginning, I got discovered. And I ended up getting booked to perform at the Ice House. And then I just started booking amazing gigs, performing with like top Latinos of comedy, and I was just enjoying my time. And I went on tour. I'm like, maybe this is how I do influence, because guess what? I'm creating direct happiness to people's lives every time I perform. 15 minutes, and I'm in, like, we're enjoying time, right? So I thought maybe that is how I was gonna create change. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. But then I was sitting there, and it was this year, and I was just thinking to myself, like, people are suffering in my community and they don't realize their political power because nobody has taken the time to let them know, like, this is what we have to do to take her on and win and change a city. So I was sitting there, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like to get religious because I have my own personal beliefs, but I did ask God, and I was like, hey, like, if this is the moment that this is why you brought me back, if this is why I went through all the things I went through, this is why I got all the tools and experiences that I got to come back home. Because in my mind, I wasn't supposed to be here. Like, if you brought me back for a reason, please tell me. Like, tell me what it is, because I don't feel good about how my life is right now, because I feel like I can do more, but I'm scared. But if you got me, tell me. And somebody had screenshotted my LinkedIn and was like, this is who we need as mayor. And they tagged me on social media. And I was like, oh. And
that was just them on their own.
Like, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right. And then I thought about it. And then I was like, every time I thought about doing it, I could breathe. And every time about not doing it, I felt like a knot in my throat. And I was like, okay. And then I started asking people, you guys want to do a meetup, a meet and greet? Like, let's talk before anything. My first meet and greet had like 4 people, because people, again, were afraid to go out. Then my next meet and greet had 15. Then my next meet and greet had 40. And so then I started realizing, okay, this is happening. So from my experience, I started the campaign early, because when somebody wants to lead, they don't need to wait like 7-8 months before the election. They're like, no, I know. And I knew. I was like, all right. And I have built a team of confident, strong Latina women from all over the Fontana area, to moms, to activists, to people who felt that they finally have somebody who that could actually speak like the way that they want to be spoken to. And I'm a person that, like, when I become mayor, I'm gonna be a mayor for everybody. And I don't, like I said, God bless everybody. Like, whatever your life choices are, the city needs somebody who can represent everybody. And when you come to City Hall, you don't feel like you're gonna get persecuted or that you're gonna feel like you're gonna be attacked, but that people are there to listen. Because guess what? Being an elected official means you're a public servant. And as somebody who has trained candidates for my entire career and like been there, like, to be there for myself has been one of the hardest things that I've ever done. I try to make people laugh sometimes in meetings, and I feel like, okay, Joz, you can't be doing your stand-up bit right now. You just gotta tell them, hey, I know things suck, but let's go get better. So that's just that was my realization moment. And it was also like what my dad said, like, you know, people can be yelling at the top of their lungs, but if you're not in there, and my goal is to highlight, motivate, and inspire other folks to run for office too. Like, I want to train folks. I'm constantly like, do you want to run? I think it'd be great, because I like to leave something behind, because I could die tomorrow. But if somebody is already seeing like, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. Like, I'm like, you step in and let's go. Like, I don't want this to end with me. And that's just my biggest thing. I don't want anything to end because I'm not there anymore. I want it to continue. And that's just my motto.
Really, you're trying to spark something, you know, because it seems like, Fontana hasn't really, like you mentioned, right? She was appointed, and then there hasn't really been like a campaign like what's happening right now.
And there's people that have campaigned, but I also think that they haven't campaigned with people.
I see what you mean.
Like, they campaign for people, but it's completely different to campaign with people. And that's what's been missing in Fontana. Somebody that can be like, hey, come here, let's sit down. Like, you have something to say? Let's go. I'm right here to back you up. Because I don't want to speak for the people. I want to speak with the people, because that's really what it is about being a leader. You have to listen to them. You can't just speak for them. That's just not going to work. And that's been the biggest problem, you know, that we've had, is that people want to speak to us. They want to speak for us, but they don't want to speak with us. And that's the reason campaigns have failed in many places, but also here in Fontana.
And I like that you highlight that, you know, because again, like, I'm still new to like the IE, you know, and then it's the even trying to see Fontana Rialto, like the IE through the lens that I have, like, coming from like LA. I was even surprised that, like, when there was a No Kings protest here for the first time, you get me? Because we had gone to it, you know, and it was such a beautiful turnout, you know, and I was like, oh my God, like, I would not have expected that, like, in Fontana, you know. Again, like, I don't have any knowledge of the area, you know, so, but like in LA, you do get a huge turnout, you know, and I've been following you on social media for quite a while, and I think I've been able to see you amass like a lot of people part of your team, you get me? But because I also think like the messaging relates to them, you know, and I like that you mentioned this, your journey right now, because I think it highlights something beautiful. Like, I think when we look at communities, sometimes what we see is like what people call brain drain. Like, there's not enough jobs, there's not enough careers to keep people in a community, so you have people go outside, you know, and part of your life has been that, you know, but you've also developed all these skills that now you are bringing back into Fontana. You get me? And then being able to include people into your campaign, train them, I think that's a very beautiful thing, you know, because now those skills are able to remain here in the community and also develop future leaders.
I mean, for me, the whole purpose that I felt ever since I was born was, you got to live a life with no regrets. Leave something that everybody else won't forget that you were here. And the lives that you touch, right? I've connected people that network and they get jobs, or I've one of the most beautiful stories that I've ever felt, that I kind of was happy to be alive for, was when I was the state director for a nonprofit organization in Nevada. And it was a Latino driven organization. It was the first ever, my first big girl job, I felt. And we helped register like thousands of voters. And then we also helped over like 4,000 folks register, become citizens. So it was like we were able to help them fill out the forms to become citizens. They become citizens, and then we were there to register them to vote. It was a full circle. And then that was in 2016. And a lot of my staff that I built friendships with when I became the state director for presidential in Nevada, which was 4 years later, those were my first hires. And those were people that I know the community trusted. They were community driven, and they organized so well. So the candidate that we were with, when we first got there, he was polling at 1%. When we finished the campaign, he was at 12%. Oh, wow. And it was like people voted for Bernie and him, and they were complete opposite in many ways, but their values were very much similar. But I thought it was phenomenal because why? They were like, why? How did they do that? I'm like, it was community driven. Yeah. It was like we had boxing matches and lucha libre in the campaign office where we brought the community. We had a Virgen de Guadalupe play inside the office. We had free haircuts for the community. Because it was about the community that you want to represent us. This is who we are, right? Yeah. And that is literally what Fontana is hungry for. Yeah. And for me, it's like, well, this is my home, and this is also what happened. Like my parents are elders. Mm-hmm. They're not going to go anywhere. This is where their doctors are. This is where the hospitals are. This is where their community is. And then you see my friends and people who are here, their parents are here still. They're not. This is where they've made their investment. And I'm like, well, we're not going anywhere. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, then we got to make this place better for them to be able to live good, happy lives. And also the young people. How many young people have come to me? They're like, 17, 18 years old, graduating high school. And they're like, we hate the fact that we see warehouses like coming out of our classroom or dealing with construction of a warehouse while we're in school. Mm-hmm. I'm like, who decides to put a warehouse next to a school? Yeah. And then to top it off, that brings jobs, but are they good union jobs? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like some of these places are automation, right? So, but the kids, the young kids, I don't even like to call it, young adults are realizing this and they're not happy about it. And what happens? They leave. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They leave, and their parents stay here. Then their parents end up selling the home because it's too big for them, and then the families leave. Yeah, new families come in, but then they leave. Yeah. So, how do we build a sustainable, traditional home where people want to come home for the holidays and they know that their parents are going to be there? They're like, you know what? I'm going to build my own. If I'm a doctor, I'm going to make a medical office here. Yeah. If I am an engineer, hey, guess what? There's actually a good hub for engineering here. Maybe we're doing auto like technology with planes or something, and we have that here. No, we don't have that here. Yeah. We're building empty warehouses, and they're empty. Like people message me, hey, I'm so mad that the Speedway is gone, and that they put mega warehouses there. Yeah. Like, although that's county, it still reflects on Fontana. Yeah. People when I ask people what is the issue most important to you, 9 out of 10 is the warehouse situation.
Because they look empty. Like when I passed by them, they're empty. I was like, I didn't know.
And you kind of alluded it when you came back, to Fontana, that there was like these explosions happening literally in your backyard. Is that related to these warehouses that you were talking about?
No, they blew it up so they can build, so KB Homes can build luxury townhomes. Oh. And the thing is that in the state of California, there's a law that says that there's a need for housing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the issue is there's not affordable housing. Yeah. I was like, we need housing, but we also need housing that is affordable for folks that are on $75 a year income. Mm-hmm. As an individual, you need to earn $150 to $160 as a family to even afford to qualify for a home. But even then, the payments are $4,000 to $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. You still have to commute to work, which a lot of people work in LA, and you still have to, have the needs of your family, your home insurance, your personal insurance, your car insurance. And at the end, you are living paycheck to paycheck. You're one disaster away from everything. And, traffic in Fontana has increased because of the trucks. Yeah. And it's definitely segregated and mostly in one area. But now that Rialto's getting more warehouses and Rancho Cucamonga is getting more warehouses and Ontario's getting more warehouses, the 210 is going to suffer too. Yeah. Even more so because it might not be in Fontana's side of the 210, but it is on the neighboring towns of that area of Fontana. Yeah. And then in the south part of Fontana, that's when we have our hub of warehouses. And just getting from point A to point B on the freeway just to get into the freeway takes like 30, 40 minutes. Yeah,
like the 10. Like instead when I get off the 10, because one time I was coming back home and I was on the express lane, but I missed the merger to like a different freeway, so I just had to take the whole 10 down. You get me? But then getting off, I think by the movie theaters,
Okay.
Was it with the Edwards or the Regals where we went last time?
In Ontario?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
But like
Mhm.
it took like 30 minutes just to get off that little. like yeah, it's just a little
Well, I
late because
think
there's also
that's the,
construction there.
Is that the Foothill exit? No.
No,
I
that's the
don't know.
4th Street.
That's the, oh, yeah, 4th Street. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and also like if you think about it, that is one of the things, and I'm not trying to like, because I love the fact that Zoran won in New York City, and definitely inspiring because I mean I launched my campaign in August, and you know it's been a heck of a whirlwind in many ways. After he won, we got a big push on our campaign. A lot of activists were like, "Let's do it in Fontana." I'm like, "Yeah, we're not that special, right? But we're gonna be special." And people are excited, right? So then it was so funny because I started thinking about how there's a lot of traffic in our city because people are now commuting to work here. So they don't live here, they're commuting to work here. And look, listen, that's amazing for businesses. If we had more small businesses, it would be great, but we don't. We don't have a downtown that is thriving. You know, we're barely seeing the whatever she's planned for 16 years is barely happening now. We want to continue opening small businesses, small coffee shops, a cultural center where people can actually enjoy and the richness of our community, and the people that work here can benefit from that. But the people that live here are suffering. So I want to propose that we get, increase taxes on warehouses. Then the money that we do get from them be invested in transportation, so that every resident in Fontana gets a free bus pass and all the students get a free bus pass, and we increase the routes of our buses because we don't have that.
That's something that I've realized. I was telling him at the time, I was like, bro, like there's hardly any buses here. You get me? And again, like coming from LA, where like we don't have an efficient public transit system, but we do have at least something. You know, I am a big advocate for public transit because it does provide a mode of transportation, especially as the population gets older. You get me? And it helps connect you. Like there was a while where I didn't have my car and I was just walking from the bus stop, taking the bus, but it also allows you to feel a little bit more immersed in the community because you're seeing people come in, get out, but also like you're able to talk to the people that are getting in. You get me? You get off on a little business. Oh, hey, what's up? Like good morning, good afternoon.
And you actually get to see things that you don't see when you're driving, right? But the thing is that imagine if you are paycheck to paycheck, you don't have money for gas. And you had to pay your medication. Now that medication is going to go up and your premiums are going to go up. And imagine if the last $5 you can purchase a gallon of milk or something to eat for your kids, but you don't have to worry about getting to work because you can take the bus. And, you know, it's a free bus pass. It's going to get you to point A to point B. A lot of our on-house communities are because they don't have enough money to get from point A to point B. So that they can go be wherever they need to be. Or maybe they have a friend that they can stay with. And so they don't have that. They can't charge their phones. And then also the bus stops are horrible. Like there's cement blocks in one of the hottest cities in the country. And you're going to have it where it's uncomfortable for people to be there. So how is that building community? And also it'll help small businesses. If I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to walk my butt to maybe go to Carl's Jr. I'm going to go to the taqueria that's right here because this is where my bus spot is. But I lived in Chicago and I saw it. I saw how transportation can be the biggest advocate for a thriving city. People love it. People get like I said, people can get to their destinations stress-free. For one thing, that could be less stressful in their life. So I was thinking of that as being one of the things that I really hone in on and when I become mayor. As well as building hubs inside warehouses where we can do like a New Haven, how they have the food courts. We could do that with the street vendors to keep them safe, to keep them indoors. They could have a kitchen that they can, all they do this kind of like a swap meet. You know, you could just do a booth fee that covers your insurance, that covers any type of emergency, and then also will help you kind of fill out the form so that you could have your permit that, and maybe you can apply because you might have documentation problems, but maybe you have some business partner that can, and they can help you out. But we can connect people. We can be the connector, but it's like the extra step that nobody ever wants to take in cities. And it's like, no, we're just going to find them. No, we're just going to boot them out. It's just easier that way. Oh, like so mi colita. And so you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, it's not rocket science. And I think that's one of the reasons I think you said earlier that a lot of people don't get engaged and don't vote. The reason people don't vote is because there's a lot of things in their head that are way more important. And sometimes they think that their vote doesn't matter, right?
So they're low efficacy.
And that is why our campaign is training right now to do deep canvassing. And that deep canvassing is building really meaningful relationships with people when they talk to them, because there's a lot more things that unite us than divide us. beyond all the political mess that's going on right now that is scaring people, and the anger that people have in their hearts for all the injustices that are happening. We got to remember that in order for us to live good, happy, thriving lives, it starts with the fundamental basis. If you walk outside at nighttime because you want to take your dog out for a walk, but your lights are broken in your neighborhood, you don't go on that walk. That walk could give you a good bump on your mental health, right? But you don't get to do that because nobody fixed that light in your street. When you see there's so much traffic on a neighborhood, and you get frustrated and tired, and now you're angry. Now you're not going to have a happy day, and other people may get the repercussions of that. If a kid is hungry and school food was not enough, and they don't have a place to go after school to be able to get some food or be able to do their homework, maybe they can't go home because their parents are not there. But all that they see around is a fast food restaurant, a gas station, and a car wash, and a warehouse. Like, what are we telling our community? This is all you deserve. And you don't have money for the bus, and you don't have a car, so what do? You do the things that you probably don't want to do. And the fundamental basis of your day-to-day are ultimately the way that you start thinking that the world's out to get you. And then when the media tells you that because of this person, you don't have what you have, it puts us against each other. So like they're saying, oh, the immigrants are taking your jobs. No. It is because nobody's giving you the opportunity, because they're telling you that somebody else took it from you on purpose. So they can continue to control us every day. And that's the biggest problem that we have, not just in Fontana, but all over the country.
And I like that you mentioned that, because I think as you've kind of hinted about it already, that like bringing that political education to like the youth, and like, I'll be honest, even with myself, like, I don't think I was like informed about politics till I got to college. You get me? And that's probably when I was already like 22, 23. And it's like, dude, like we think that, okay, I'll just vote for the president and that's it, because we just think, that's the big one, but I think a lot of the stuff really starts at the local level, right? Like whether it's the school board elections or it's the, for your city council and then for your mayor, because that's also where the immediate result is going to be much more felt, like, because that's the community that you live in.
Exactly.
I love that you're bringing that here to Fontana, because again, like, that does have the power to transform life. Because I was one of those fools that thought like, oh, I'll just cast my ballot for presidency and there, my job is done, But as I began to inform myself,
my duty.
Exactly, But now that I began to like inform myself more about like the local aspect of it, I do think is important. And because my mom's a street vendor, and you get me, also a street vendor, so I think you were already like in Fontana at that point, right? Where you were like sending clips about like the whole stuff with the street vendors. So it was even like a little culture shock, like being on this side of the town, where I was like, oh, I don't see any street vendors, because like in LA I can just walk down the block and I'll go get some pizza. Go down the other block, I'll get like some tacos, And it's been different, I guess, engaging in that here, just because it lacks that, right? Because even how the city's built to be much more car dependent, because it's like, okay, that's a long block, bro, like,
there's no walkability.
Yeah, there isn't. But then there's also not enough public transportation. It's
exactly.
like, it does increase the likelihood of you staying inside or just getting inside your car to drive out. But then that disconnects you from the community, and that's kind of like one of the things that I had, like when I was carless, I was like, damn, dude, like I was walking from my brother's house to my fiance's house, and it was just down like 2-3, like probably like a mile and a half, but you get to see so many aspects of the community, people working every day. You get me? And like Latinos, right? Like la gente saluda. Oh, buenas tardes.
Someone's front yard.
People washing the sidewalk, bro. Like they don't own the sidewalk and they're cleaning it, dude. And you're like, oh shit. Like,
you're gonna find something so fascinating. So you've probably seen all things are going on with immigration and all over the country, and you probably see what's going on in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So oddly enough, I lived in Little Village.
Okay.
Right there by the Arch. And you've ever been to Chicago? It's one of the most gentrified cities, but it's somehow one of the most diverse cities in the country. I love it. I think it's a beautiful city because it's manageable, not like New York. New York's intense. But I lived in Little Village, and every time I came out, my house, You could smell carnitas. You know, you could smell las tortillas que están haciendo. Then you would like wave at everybody. I was like the Mexican Belle from Beauty and the Beast. You know, I was walking with my canasta, getting the nopalitos, getting everything on the street. And you knew your tamal lady. You knew your guy that sold camote. He would have a whistle. You're like, oh, ya están los camotes. And it was literally like one of the most beautiful things. Like, what is La Villita? La Villita is La 26. Actually named Los Tigres del Norte Avenue, right? And it was slowly, upsettingly getting gentrified. Because developers, right? And houses are being, elders are going back to their country and they're selling their homes for a lot of money because this is now 15 minutes away from downtown. And transportation is great. You take the bus on the corner, takes you all the way downtown. You're good for $2.60. You're solid, right? So when I started seeing how the community was rising up against ICE and just kind of defending their own, you know, I cried. I was in tears because not only did I know all of them that were on the front lines getting arrested and blowing the whistles, but it just reminded me how powerful community is when you can connect on so many different things. Food connects us, you know, knowing each other and uplifting our businesses connects us, and our love for our blood and our like if I say, oh, yo soy de Monterrey, and somebody else says, oh, yo también, I'm like, oh my God, we're basically related. And that's the beauty of our culture, because what we bring it to this country. And we literally have everybody have the opportunity to love it and embrace it. We don't tell anybody not to do and love their own culture. We tell everybody, let's love everything. And that neighborhood, and that's the thing about our culture, is that even if you were mean to me, even if you didn't like my beliefs, even if we don't pray to the same God, if you needed shelter, if you needed a meal, I would invite you in and give you a meal. And that's the thing about what people are missing in the message, is like people came to this country not because they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to be so rich the next day. No, they came because they knew working hard here was an opportunity for their American dream. And their American dream becomes their kids, their grandkids, and all of that. And so I was reminded of how my life has been. To be the girl from Fontana that went to somehow cross the world and ended up living in La Villita. And now seeing what they're going through there that is hurting me, and then seeing what's going on in my hometown, and seeing how somehow, somewhere in the universe, my little star particle of myself ended up back in this moment, knowing the power that I've learned and grown into as an adult woman, to now being home with all this, like, you know, in my head of like, okay, how can I incorporate that beauty into a city that should reflect that. I mean, we should have a cultural center. We should have, you know, communities where we know I can get the best boba, and I can get the best tacos, I can get the best burgers, I get the best Italian food. Like, Fontana should be a thriving city where people are like, hey, tonight let's kick it in downtown Fontana. I've never heard those words. In my entire existence.
Me either, bro. I hear it about Riverside.
I've even heard it about Rialto. Hey, let's go downtown. I have sometimes it's like a piano bar. I gotta learn. It's a piano bar somewhere.
I remember moving out here and getting the tacos on I'm blanking. Oh, in front of the Superior, where the Superior is.
Okay.
On Citrus and Foothill. And that was like it was popping that street corner. There was tamales, hot dogs, you know, there was tacos.
Making me hungry.
It was awesome. And then we would go often. And I remember we would have like a little checklist. Okay, next time we're going to go and try this one. And try this one. And then even on Arrow, up and down Arrow, there was a bunch of like little street vendors, right? And some ladies selling juguetes. And then right next to them, there's, you know, a taqueria. You get me?
Yeah.
And then after everything happened with the push to get rid of all the street vendors, now it's just like, it's barren. Like, it's dark. There's nothing going on there. And it's just like, it felt like there was that loss of community, which is why that No Kings protest, it didn't go away. Like, the people are still there, the community is still there, and you can see that there's a want and a need for organization. Now we just need someone to kind of direct us in the direction, and it seems like you're trying to foster that.
Oh yeah, it's so funny at our No Kings protest. It was super small, the one that we had recently in October, because we weren't planning on having one. Until people were like, I don't want to have to drive over here, not drive over there. I was like, you know what, let's host one in Fontana, because, you know, the Kaiser workers were on strike. I was like, you know what, let's like join forces. And we had a hot dog lady just post up, and I was like, here's some money. I was like, give everybody hot dogs. And I was so happy, because it's so weird to go find somebody to sell you bacon wrapped hot dogs, and that they're making it and you're not making it, right? But And they're going to be selling hot dogs at this event I'm having because I'm like, where's your card?
Hey, Carlos could get down on them hot dogs.
I like
He does make them.
Yeah, don't
He
tell me
makes them for
twice.
WWE events when we go to his house to watch them. He's making his hot dog.
That's a party. How come I'm not invited to those
And I
parties?
do, like the cebollitas. I got
Oh, my
cebollitas
God.
3 different ways.
Yeah.
Like,
Con chilito, serrano,
exactly.
dude. That's
Survivor
awesome.
Series, bro.
I like throwing events because I love feeding people. I just
Yeah.
love food.
I enjoy doing that, yeah.
I just love
That's
food. I
awesome.
think food brings people together. Every event I have, I support small businesses, and they might be the biggest sell they have of the day, but it's great, right? It's amazing. But I think I that's why I do know that this is the right path that I'm in right now. It's gonna be hard, like I said. I already have people like mad because everything wants me to be perfect, right? And I say I'm not gonna let the perfect be any of the good. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I've done fun things, I've done crazy things, I've traveled and I've seen things, but I also feel because I have experienced all those moments and lived in different places, I've seen what is good, what is bad, what could be better. But I never imagined that was going to be the reason why I feel prepared to lead. And like I said, I'm not going to be perfect of like, I understand all the mechanisms of being mayor. No, that's not the point, because nobody ever does until they're on the job. You can know the job, but to be in the job is going to be different. But I'm always going to strive to be transparent, right? Because I think I want folks to learn, hey, I can't make this decision right now because this, and that. Instead of telling you, well, I'm not making that decision, nobody knows why. And, as I'm talking to people and I'm growing with people, I tell them, hey, I'm going to need somebody to work with. Do you consider running for city council? Because this seat is also up. I would love to be able to encourage you to run so that we can work together. Because, again, it's always going to take 3/5 votes to do anything in city council. And I'm running on term limits. I don't want to be there. I don't want us to be doing this podcast in 40 years being like, so how's it being mayor? Like, no, I want us to be able to like say, hey guys, this is the next generation that's going to take lead. And I also think I love my seniors. My dad's 82, my mom's 77, but I don't believe that it is okay to continue to perpetuate the cycle that only if you're retired, that only when you're already done with your job, that you finally want to lead in your city, that finally you want to be that school board member, finally you want to be the city council member. It's like, because you're 77 now, because you're 75 now, or because you're 60, you finally want to do this. But what about people who are like, hey, I know right now that I want to change the city now, because if I make a decision today, I'm going to live long enough to see the repercussions of that decision.
Exactly.
Instead of like, I'm going to make this budget decision today and then it's only for 20 years, but I'm going to be dead by then. So good luck, guys, Right. I don't know why. And people always get, you're so young. I'm like, you know what? We may be young, but we're not young to get drafted to war. We're not young to pay taxes. We're not young to have to get a job at 18 and start like getting student loans and all these things. We're not too young for those things, but when it's time to actually make decisions about our future, we're hella young. Like, make that make sense. And that is what a lot of people have been discouraged as young kids. I was told that when I was little. Somebody actually told me, well, you don't have like malice, you don't like this. You know what? That's something that I did learn, because now that I'm older and I have experienced people who betray you, I have experienced people who tell you one thing and do another, or I have been experienced with people that are rude to you or are going to throw you under the bus because they're always want to be a stepping stone. Now that I know those things, it's like, keep your friends close, keep your enemies way far. I don't believe in keeping them close either. And like Tupac said, it's like, hey, it's not that I don't want you to eat, I just don't want you to eat at my table. Like, that's just how it's gonna be, because ain't no time for games. People's lives are on the line. People's livelihoods are on the line. People's way of lives are on the line. We want to make sure that we're sustainable, that we're protecting the environment, that we're protecting the generation for the future generation. And we're just not saying, good job, everybody's gonna be in flying cars. Yeah, no, probably not. That the way we're going, it's going to be even worse. And I just want folks to know that 2 things: you haven't lived your best day yet, and you haven't met everybody you're supposed to meet. And that's what this campaign's all about. We want to bring people together. We want to have fun along the way. We want to train. We want to organize. We want to create a shift in what people used to say, it is what it is. I hate that.
I know.
It is what it is. You know what it is? When I eat hot Cheetos, and that's a problem. It is what it is, But I can't do that. We can't do this. This is real freaking life. And I want folks to understand, because they'll see this and they'll dissect this and they'll like judge me for every little thing. It's like, I know that being a mayor is not it should not be a political issue of like my own personal beliefs or what I believe is true from right and wrong. It's about day-to-day services for Fontanans to know that their day-to-day lives are going to be protected, and I'm going to be responsible for those things along with the city council members. Like, how do we fix your streets? How do we make sure 311 is functional? How do we make sure that we protect our animals that are like, these strays or when they're roadkill because of their being displaced from nature?
All the coyotes.
Exactly. Like, and how to ensure that we're neutering our animals? How do we make sure that every single space when folks go out to the park festivities for the city, that on their way there, they're not going to be stopped by ICE. That on their way there, they're not going to be terrorized by, law enforcement, masked agents or whatever. Like, we want to make sure that they know that those events are going to be safe for them. I know that you guys saw that video, right, where we were at City Hall, and I was one of my supporters. And what happened, I just want to kind of clear the air of like what happened there was, so Tuesday, that day, usually the meetings are Tuesdays. That specific Tuesday, it was Veterans Day, so we couldn't have a meeting. Makes sense. I thought all meetings were closed for the rest of the month. But then I was told that there was a special meeting on that Wednesday, kind of to make up for that Tuesday. And when I saw the agenda, it said public comment. So, right, everybody's going to go to do some public comment. It's a great time, right? And honestly, because it's at 2 p.m., and it's not popular. It's not a popularized item. Like people don't put the schedule. It wasn't like 6 of us that went, maybe 7. Only 5 of us were going to speak. And we're going to talk about, hey, like, what are we doing about what's going on in our community? I mean, it's like repeating ourselves to people that already know what we're about. Because there
has been like ICE presence,
oh
right?
my
like
God,
sightings
huge. There's been kidnappings in Fontana and Bloomington and in this area of
and Rialto. Home Depot right here recently, right?
Exactly. So we just want to say, like, what are we doing? Can we make a statement? Can somebody say, hey, this is not right. Stay out of our community. Respect our residents. Let's have due process. That's the biggest issue. Due process. Like, if you have a warrant with a signed judge, like judge has signed it, you have like, that's your jurisdiction. Okay, respect it. You have a warrant signed by a judge. But if you don't, and you're just, profiling people, that's a problem.
Yourself.
You don't identify. You just start grabbing people, beating them up. That is not right. That's just not right.
And additionally, there's been people that pose as agents.
Yes,
too,
at Rupa Valley.
They
had a what's it called? They went and robbed a family in Rupa Valley. They knocked as masked agents. They were caught on the ring cam, and they went in and they just robbed the whole family, and then they just left. And it's like, this is the world that we're living in right now. And so when we're seeing silence from people, it does anger people because we're seeing kids grow up way too fast than they have to. And so when we're at the meeting, they expected probably like hundreds of people because there was a flyer passed around. But it's at 2 p.m. So only 6 of us went, right? And so I was informed that there was a potential that they were going to take off public comment off the agenda. Because a special meeting, they have the right to do that, according to folks. And all of a sudden, they changed the meeting. And they were like, you cannot talk about anything unless it's on the agenda. And the only thing on the agenda was a fundraiser. They wanted to ask for $12,000 for Toys for Tots in a car show that they're doing for the holidays. And folks were like, well, I don't know. I was like, well, I guess, what are we going to talk? I mean, at this point, what do we do? And I was thinking in my head, I'm just going to get out. And then somebody goes, no, let's stay and let's talk about how this connects with the kids. So that's what we did. And I even said, like, what's happening, but we wish everybody gets access to this opportunity to be able to have toys because families can't have toys. Right? So everybody was doing their speech. I did my speech. I was the first one. And then I sat down and then we were filming. And then that's when our supporters, like our folks that are volunteers, but activists in the community went up. And they were trying their best to communicate their feelings about what was going on. And the mayor didn't know that happened. And she just shut it down. She even said, okay, bye. Like, you're done. Like, just kind of like, get out of my face. And I'm thinking, there's only 5 of us. Only 5 people wanted public comment. If 3 minutes max each comment, that's 15 minutes that we could have just spared for the community just to be like, I know what you're talking about. Let me listen. And we'll listen out of respect to the constituents that we work for. And you know what? Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to the next agenda. That's all they had to do. They didn't have to, like, make a statement. We weren't forcing them in that moment. It was just more like, can you just listen to the needs of the community, the fears? But no. And so the folks wanted to talk on the agenda item. And the mayor just called a recess. And she just let everybody else speak. And it was just, like, done. And then we got kicked out of chambers. And then they said, after we come back, none of you better be here. And there was police, and it's sad, because again, that's that's taxpayer money that we're like, okay, what are we, like, just dirt? We just don't matter. Like, they want to censor us. And then as we were outside, they were sending the police drone just to look at us. And again, there was just like 10 of us outside, just like, what are we gonna eat for lunch? You guys want to you guys want to go to lunch? And we all went to lunch afterwards and talk and debrief. But there was a lot of emotion. There was like a retiree, a wonderful lady that just moved to Fontana. Has been here for like a couple of years, and she's like super disappointed, and she's trying to make her voice heard. And then she sees the mayor yelling at her daughter, and it's just kind of like she's crying, and she's native, you know, like she has roots that are native, and it's like, you know, she grew up in a time where there was segregation, and not to just be in the situation. And again, people were angry at me. They were like, "Oh, you know, the organization that you guys were talking about bad about." Nobody was talking bad about the organization at all.
If I remember correctly, sorry to cut you off, but the comment that they made was like, "Can you just assure families that when they go to this event that they can go safe?"
Yeah, they're gonna be safe.
Yeah,
that's all. That was it. And they couldn't say yes or no, or they couldn't even like react. Like they were like, "You're done, bye." You know. So again, that is kind of like the whole. And people were like, you should take the video down. I was like, this is the thing. If you're so worried about this, you should go to city council meetings and demand from them too. Like, this is what we expect from our leaders, right? And because people are like, if you want to be mayor, you should act better. And in my mind, I'm like, this is where we're at in the country, right? They want us to be near darn perfect. DACA recipients have to be near darn perfect in order just to be here. But we have a dude in some other state who SAs teenage girls, and a judge lets him off the hook. And because of why? Because of his color of his skin, because of his connections. But we have people here who are literally, their only crime is that they're brown and they speak Spanish. There are literally videos of men working on cement and ICE agents holding their back while they're done finishing the work of the person that contracted them. And now they are going to get picked up by. It's like, let me finish what you're doing, but like, I'm going to take, because you're the worst of the worst. And it's like, this is where we live in right now. So people are like, Joz, are you ready for that? Are you ready for the people that are going to go against you? Because obviously the mayor has activated her MAGA base. And she made a post about CK, you know? And there's a lot of injustices that have happened, school shootings. There's been murders of other elected officials in Minnesota, and no posts about any of those things. But CK, yes, let's post about CK. And it was
which is a clear double standard.
Exactly, but it was like an activation of like where her loyalty lies, right? And it sucks to say that, because I don't want to make this job political. This job is about me creating daily services for my constituents. But when the other person does make it political, does make it a mix between church and state, we forget about the day to day. And that's why people are suffering. And then guess what? They think that it's the president's fault, right? Or they think it's the governor's fault. Or they think it's the congressman's fault. But it's the local government that's really fault. It is that we don't see a lot of things that should be happening. And that's why local elections are important. People ask me, Joz, why didn't you just run for city council? Like, you should just start off at city council. And I have other people be like, Joz, you should just ran for Congress. And it's like, no. I was like, I know for a fact that I didn't do all the things that I did in my entire career, sacrifice Christmases, holidays, Thanksgivings, graduations, everything. I was far away when COVID started, and I suffered a lot on my own. I was moments where I was, you know, I barely had food for myself, but I would never tell my parents that. Like, I knew that I was going to be, tú quisiste venirte lejos, tú vas a echarle ganas, right? And all that to come back home and be like, it had to be worth something. And there is no other like person that I would follow in Fontana right now who I think would mean well for the community. And that is what I'm more fearful of. Like, people who think that this is their next stepping stone rather than this is what we need to do to help our community. And that's it. You know,
and you mentioned earlier también that you've already started campaigning, right? Yes. So when does voting begin?
Okay, so voting is next year. Next year in when your ballots drop. So probably like late October, mid-late October when your ballots drop. And then the election is November 3rd, 2026. And the reason I started early, and it shouldn't even be saying that it's early, so right on time, is because I know what I'm up against.
Yeah.
I know people need to get to know me. I know I'm really like Googleable, and people can go online on my social medias. As you know, I did stand up, so I have a good following on my stand up page. And I actually just started my campaign page from scratch. And this past week, I've already gained over 600 followers just from what happened.
That's right.
And on TikTok too, pero that's not enough. So we have to talk to voters.
Yeah.
So we're hosting meet and greets. Like I have one pretty soon. I have events coming up. We are going to be developing programs so that people can communicate and organize in their communities. Because Fontana is broken into 4 districts. So we have a captain in each district, and we're just going to do great things. And then my job is to ensure that I get the support from not only community members, but from, you know, progressive organizations and endorsements into the fold, and then fundraise money. Because I know it's going to take a lot to be able to kind of, you know, go head to head with who she is and the empire she's built for the last 30 years, you know? And so I, like I said, like I hate to brag, but like I've organized very well. And that's why I got the nickname Joz. Just so you guys know. My name is Jocelyn, but I go by Joz, like the shark, because I've been known to come in for the kill. When I organize to have results.
Okay.
And the result is to win. And I know that we will win because we have the conviction, we have the heart, we have the people. And the people that are ready to knock on doors, ready to call voters, ready to text voters, ready to build community and have meet and greets and do all these beautiful things, these are people that were never involved before. And that is what this is about. Because at the end, whatever happens in November, these are the people that are going to be running their PTAs. These are going to be people that are going to be organizing and maybe running themselves in the next couple of years. These are the people that are going to do neighborhood watches. These are the people that are going to go and be strategic about how we protect our street vendors, how we protect our immigrant communities, and how they themselves protect their families. Because once you have that knowledge of power, but knowledge of organizing, there's nothing you can do. Because even as a comedian, I'm an organizer. So why do I always get people to come to my events? Because I build relationships with my fans. I can't believe I have fans, right? But I believe they come out, they take pictures. Follow me on Insta. The next time, hey, you want some free tickets? Oh my God, you want date night? Let's go. Because why? I want to see them again. Also, I want them to know that I care and that I appreciate that they were there to support me. When, like, I never thought that I would have that. And I carry my name proud. My last name, you know, my dad is de Durango and my last name is Sida. Pero I carry it proud because I carry their blood in my veins. And I know that they didn't come to this country just to you know, this is what it is. They came to this country to have a better life. And I know that sounds like cliche when everybody says it. But the better life for us isn't about becoming millionaires, isn't about buying homes. It's about living in a world where who you are and what you can bring to the table is more powerful than the money that you leave behind to nobody that cares about you. And a lot of these families, they have terrenos or things like that. Some families don't have terrenos back home. But at the end of the day, it's because, again, they're so proud of where they come from. But this is the land of opportunity for everyone. That is what the Statue of Liberty is there for.
Es como dicen, el sol brilla para todos, you know?
Exacto, man, el 100. And that's what this is all about. And like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am frightened, like deeply inside. But one of the things about comedy that I think prepared me for this is that your heart beats so fast when you're about to go on stage. You're thinking so hard about the first joke that you're going to tell, and that's going to grab the audience's attention. Are they going to love me? Are they going to hate me? Are they going to boo me? Are they going to give me the silent treatment? Are they going to make fun of me? And are they going to laugh? Are they not? So you think about all these things and wrap it. Do. And when you go up there and you know this is it, and you tell your first joke and you have them with you, it is the most beautiful feeling in the world. And that's the feeling that I have every time I talk to a voter. It's nerve-wracking when you knock on a door. Are they going to hate me? Are they going to love me? Are they going to question every little thing about what I'm saying? Am I even prepared? Am I about this? Should I do this? Am I doing the right thing? Should I just run away to Australia? I don't know. And then they open the door. You smile. They smile. You have a conversation. They tell you about their kids or family. Turns out you may know them.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you have somebody who's willing to support you who didn't know about you before. Yeah. And that's another best feeling in the world.
It's like one of those things where, like, if you still get nervous to do what you're passionate, like, you still know you have that passion for it.
Yeah.
You know, even though you've done it 1,000 times before. I've knocked on doors, I've called. Every time I do it, I still get that little nervousness, you know.
Yeah. I know. And when I call people, like recently, when I do this thing called call time, when you have to call people to fundraise money, and it's people that I haven't talked to in like decades, including ex-partners. And I'm like, hey, listen, let me tell you, I'm not trying to stalk you, but this is my new number. But you know, you do your best because you believe in what you're doing, and it wakes you up every day. My parents are like, Mija, ya tienes que parar, because I'm on, like, if I'm not working on my job, I am doing this, or if I'm not doing this, then I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go relax instead of going to the gym. I'm like, I'll go do a show. I'm going to go do a show. They're like, you need to stop. You need to just like take it down a notch. And I was like, I just can't. I feel like if I do, I get this sense of like, then I start overthinking things, and I start overthinking like, am I doing the right thing? But again, like, I hate to say this, but like, I have nothing to lose. The only thing I have to lose is if I don't do it. And then I'll always have this life of regret. And it's going to be hard. Like, there's still time for people to get in the race. Honestly, whoever gets in the race after me, I feel like they're working with her, because they'll split the vote. Because the last election, people split the vote. And if they wouldn't have split the vote, they would have beat her. And she would have lost.
Wow.
And the last election, she got about 14,000 votes. The other two together got 17,000. So there's already a situation where there is this divide. So for me, if people in Fontana really care, like, they'll make sure whoever's trying to think about running, and they really want to take out the mayor, like, as like, you know, not elected again, like, they should not run. And look at, like, even if like, you know, it's like, man, I don't know about this girl, she's too liberal. It's like, it's not about the issues. I'm here to do day-to-day constituent services in the best way possible, and to be able to access to everybody. But I'm not doing it because of my own political beliefs. I'm doing it because of what is right from wrong. But if you really want to challenge me in 4 years, go ahead. But right now, we need somebody who's already ready to take this on, and get behind me. And if you think you know more than me, come mentor me, come train me, come talk to me. Be like, hey, I know you might not know about this, but like, let's you know, educate you on these things so that you're ready when you become mayor. And that's the thing that we're liking too. People are like, well, no sabe. So it's like, let me go see if I can help her out. Maybe get to know her. That's what I ask people. When people start attacking me online, I'm like, hey, you want to have a coffee? Like, you want to go meet with me? Like, let's go to my favorite diner. I love a good diner. I was like, let's go do this. I'm like, because they're like, no. I'm like, so whatever you say, whatever you think you want to tell me, and you don't want to meet with me, then I know that your anger is just really deep. I was like, and so I always, I'm like, I'll think about you, and when I become mayor, I'll still represent you. I was like, if you don't want to take the time to meet with me, that is on you. I was like, I'm giving you an olive branch, but I'm not going to entertain an online conversation that we're going to go back for 3 hours while you're just going to repeat the same things and going to be angry with me. Same thing with our comments, right? It's like, you're angry, you're allowed to be angry, but don't expect reaction from me, because at the end of the day, like, if you don't want to meet with me, you don't want to come meet me at a you know, meet and greet, or you don't want to like reach out to me and be like, hey, can we have a conversation? Then I know that you're trolling, and I know that you really don't care about your community. So I'm just telling everybody right now that's listening to us or want to listen, it's like, if you're going to come at me and be like angry about a lot of things, and I offer you to meet with me because that would be my first thing, and you don't want to, then I don't believe that you genuinely care.
Right.
Because I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to learn and grow, because again, I'm not perfect, I don't know all be all. I was like, but what I do know is that I care a lot about my community, and I care a lot about where the direction of the city is going. And I want to make sure that we are with the high demand of people coming into Fontana, we need to have better retention of not only our homeowners and our renters, but also our young people, and be able to have good lives for our elders. And then a big thing was too, we need a renters union. We need to make sure rent is not, you know, we protect the landlords and protect the renters, because the situation is getting out of hand, where we're getting a monopoly of management companies. They're buying a lot of these homes, and they're asking you for a 620 credit score. They want you to earn 3 times as much as the rent, and the rent's $3,999.75. It's like, then why don't you just buy a house? And you need to have first month's and last month's rent and renter's insurance. And it's like, if you had all those qualifications, you literally could buy one of these $700,000 homes. You know, so it's like, we need to be realistic about what is happening with our folks everyday working class to like what is happening with a lot of landlord companies that are not necessarily humanizing themselves to affordability, and there's just a lot to tackle, but it comes first winning this election, energizing the community, and doing this together.
And sorry. And based on what you shared, like it's also so refreshing to see a lot of your stuff be rooted in relationship building. You get me? And going back to community. So again, like this is my first time for our listeners, right? Like this is actually my first time meeting you in person, and even like listening to you speak, like it's just so refreshing to see that at the end of the day, it goes back down to building those connections with one another, because that's what makes community, and also highlighting how like earlier you had mentioned, like bringing those, utilizing spaces here to keep Fontanans here, right?
Yes.
Like when you go to successful cities, right, you'll see like, you'll see spaces where people can congregate, go ahead and have food, have drinks together. You get me? But the city here lacks that, So I do like that you bring that aspect, because it also helps keep the dollar local, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to let me drive down to another city 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away, and spend my money there. You get me? So I do like that you mentioned a lot of those things.
Yeah, and like, you want to be able to take your fiance on a date or somewhere. You want to go somewhere local. You know, you want to go to like a nice little steakhouse that's been there for a couple of years. I don't know. Like, I don't want to just, let's go to Applebee's. Let's go to Chili's. Like, let's go to, Yard House. Yeah, I love those places. Rancho Cucamonga is great. Downtown Victoria Gardens is beautiful for what we have in the Inland Empire. I love going to I love going to Rancho Cucamonga and seeing the Christmas tree. Yeah. That's like a vibe, right? Because I'm not going to go all the way to LA, right? But I was telling my family was laughing at me. I was like, guys, they want to buy a tree. I'll put it in front of my house. And we're all going to light it up in the community, right? My niece, my niece is like, you are over the top. I was like, dude, I just want to, give back to the community, and I want to have those experiences. I want to, it's crazy to say, I want to bring what I've experienced back home, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity to see all these different places. Yeah. And everywhere I've gone, guys, it wasn't a vacation. It was because I was working. And that's the story of our lives, right? Yeah. It's like when we get to go to places, it's because for work, right? We were going, we're going to go to this experience because of work. And every time I went to like one of my favorite cities is New Orleans. Oh, I know. He's been there. Yeah. And New Orleans is amazing, full of culture. How it's revitalized after Katrina. Yeah. Like the food, the music, the the people, except in the summer. But like, you know what I mean? It's gorgeous. But it's also a place that has suffered a lot, right? Another place that I've been that suffered was Puerto Rico. Like Puerto Rico is I went there when I was working with an organization that was restoring the Rio Sabana. And the people are great, but they suffered a lot after Hurricane Maria, right? And they're rebuilding. But again, what's brought them together is their love for culture, their love for tradition, their love for music, for food, for art and expression, and we don't have that in Fontana. We should. We have so many talented young artists that come from Fontana. I know historically, right? Like, Travis Barker and Sandy Hager, but like, there's a lot more people that come from Fontana. You know how many beautiful murals we could have in all these weird-looking warehouses? It's like, well, you're gonna build a warehouse. Can we build a mural? Like, like, can we do something where build a vertical garden like they do in Mexico City, right? Or we like a cultural center, and let's have music concerts. Let's try to see if we can bring a concert hall as one of these warehouses, or we can have good festivals or food festivals. Why? Because some of the best things about living in other places like Chicago was going to Taste of Chicago, or going to Lollapalooza or Pitchfork, or these festivals that bring people together and from all walks of life, from all over the world, because they enjoy it. Fontana can be a staple. We have the beautiful mountains from the foothills to over there by the 60 freeway. We have the Harupa Hills there, but it's like, we're such a huge city with 238,000 people. And growing. Yeah, that's true. And yet we don't have a pillar where we can all go to a town square, or we could all say, you know what, a placita. Not only like a placita, but like more museums, more like, and as I'm saying, like these empty warehouses could be habitat for humanity. Let's restore homes in some of these places. We're next to the airport, right? So we could do all these amazing things, but it's like, what are we waiting for? More logistics centers, more trucks, and again, we have a big population that are truck drivers, and I want to make sure that they know I'm not trying to attack your job or anything like that, but I want you to also have a safe environment where if you're commuting through here or you live here, that you can park your cars, your truck somewhere safe, but also you don't idle around schools, around school time, because kids are coming out of school, they're breathing that air. You're stuck in traffic, you're breathing that air on a hot day. What if your air conditioner is broken? There's a truck in front of you, it's putting all that smoke out.
Because air pollution is high.
It's one of the worst in the continent. Wow. You know, and it's Ontario. It's this area. It's Fontana. It's literally the Inland Empire. And but again, like we also have to who are building these things. Yeah. I'm hearing that labor is not even involved in some of these warehouses that are being built. Like unions are not getting those bids, and that is shocking because we're supposed to be a labor town, right? And so, like I'm going to be a thought partner with labor towns because those are union jobs that should be from our community. Our young people, if they want to become apprentices and they want to be electricians or carpenters or whatever, like, there's unions here and their jobs are in Fontana. Why? That'll bring less traffic. You don't have to stress your butt off to go and travel and like work all over different places and XYZ. And I mean, like, there's just a lot. When do we become adults, guys?
I know,
guys,
right?
when do we become adults? It used to be like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, downtown Riverside. It's going to be great.
What time are you going to sleep? 9 p.m.
Now it's like, yo, my phone is already in sleep mode by 8:30.
On Do Not Disturb. But, it sounds awesome. As a school counselor, like, one of the things that I find is that once you get to a school and you start new, you run your data and then you run a needs assessment on what the community needs, right? Because oftentimes a lot of people don't do that. It's just kind of like the status quo. This is just what we've always done. And so when you get in there and you start running data and you start asking questions and you get out to the community, you start to realize, wait, this is the needs of what the students need, what the families need. Yeah. There's a big push for this. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of that now. Like, what is the needs assessment for Fontana? What do we need here? And it sounds like a lot of it, we talked about a lot of issues, immigration, environmentalism,
community spaces,
the culture, letting people kind of have their word, because that's where philosophies grow out of. When people get together and yes, we're having our cafecito and our pan, but then we're talking like, hey, what are you going through? What am I going through? And from there builds like, okay, these are the issues and how do we get to those solutions?
Exactly.
Right? And so one of the questions that, maybe just we're at an hour 20. That's crazy.
Oh, dude. Hey, but
one of the questions would be like, how can people support you on this campaign that, because it sounds like from the last time when you ran for 2 months and then now it's like, you know what, I'm a year in advance, right? How can people support you on this? I know we have you're calling, you're texting, you're, doing meet and greets. Yeah. Social media is popping for you. What are some things right now that you can leave with people? Like, okay, if you want to support me on this path and you want to be a part of this, of this campaign trail, what can they do? Like, what's some advice that you can give to the people to get involved?
So there's 3 things that I always tell folks when they ask me, how do I get involved? First of all, like, if you can volunteer with the campaign, that means like go out with me. Maybe if you want to get to know me more, you go out with me as I knock on doors so you can see how I do it. And then also when you're ready to do it on your own in your neighborhood, more than welcome, especially if you live in Fontana. If you don't live in Fontana, but you want to contribute and like, you want to be a part of it, there's phone banking and there'll be a lot of more texting as we get closer, especially after the primaries in June. And then also host a meet and greet. Yeah. It might not have to be a meet and greet in Fontana, but say you have neighbors and friends that live in Fontana and you want to just host a meet and greet at your space, you can. If you live in Fontana and you want to host a meet and greet, great. And it could be at a park. We bring the food. We're having a meet and greet in the next couple of days, and we're going to bring conchas, café, tamales. Like, it's going to be a vibe. And we bring everything, and we like have a great meet and greet. We talk about it's like a little bit like a town hall. Yeah. And then ultimately at the end, if you can do any of those, if you can't get involved because of time or whatnot, if you have $10 to spare, $5 to spare, $25 to spare, or $100 or whatever, you're more than welcome to donate to the campaign. A lot of people have been doing subscriptions, as in like they do $5 a month, and it's by the first time down to election day, or $10 a month, and go from there. And then they share the link with their friends and family, because it is going to take donations, but also it's a good show of force of like how many people are invested in the campaign. I have friends from high school who I haven't talked to since high school who have donated to the campaign, and people that met me once or worked with me twice, and it's just been beautiful to see that. But on the ground, it's going to be hella fun. It's going to be so exciting. We're all going to wear matching shirts. It's going to be great. Stickers, everything. I want to have a drone show at the end. I like where it says vote for Jaws and have a little shark come out. And then I also want to do things that are exciting. Like I want to do a flash mob dance thing and all these things that I'm excited to do. But I'm also like on the 12th of December, I'm hosting a concert in the backyard of my house with a local live band from Fontana, you know, and they're gonna do some 80s rock in Espanol, rock in Inglés.
Hey, pull up, y'all.
It's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
All you need is a toy to get in. It's a toy drive. So, but and then we're gonna give out the toys during Reyes Magos on January 6th.
Yeah.
Con el burrito sabanero. I don't know if there'll be a real donkey, but it'll be a possibility.
We'll find
But I'm excited. We'll find out. Me coming out with
Diesel's coming soon.
But it's gonna be fun. We have that big event coming up, and then also we're gonna have a movie night where we're gonna showcase a movie called Knock Down the House. And I did a little cameo. I was there for like 5 seconds, 5 seconds, but it was dope. We're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna just, I like to host more trainings so folks know what they're getting themselves into, get excited, get to meet other people. The other day I had a training with, and then all the people that showed up, probably like 90% of them were all young people, and they turned out to be from the same universities. So they're all connected, and I was like, that's so great. I was like, you guys can be like Team Jaws over there. Like, it's so great. But again, I just want to end with this too, is like, this campaign isn't about me. Like, it isn't about my bio. It isn't about my background. It isn't about anything. It is about the community that I'm standing up for. Because on the ballot is not just my name, it's their name. And my name is no longer mine. It's theirs. It's everybody's. And that is all I'm going to say for the rest of my life is like, I tell people, if I ever get out of hand, you just tell me slap in the face. But no, like I've been in places where I never thought I would be. And I remember thinking of those moments. I feel like the movie Selena. She's up on the roof. She's like, can you believe it? Like all those people out there. Oh my God. It's like I could feel them. And that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like, I'm dreaming, and I feel like I'm in a Truman show, and it's just like everybody's acting sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, I know you're acting. But I am proud to wake up every day and that I have life. And that I live in the United States, because I know there are so many places that people don't get that opportunity to wake up when their houses are being bombed and they're being persecuted, and they're a brink away from destruction. And so every day I know that I'm blessed. And with that blessing, I am taking this step forward to give back. And what I'm giving back is myself. And I want to be that vessel for people that have been afraid, intimidated, silenced, and fear for their family, for their life, for themselves. If there's anything I could ever do, I'm one message away, and how I want to uplift everyone, even in their hardest moments, because at the end of the day, we all bleed the same. And, during COVID, it didn't matter what political party you were. It didn't matter what, who you voted for president or anything like that. It just goes to show that those types of like disasters, it doesn't matter. And we all have to be there for one another. And that's where I am right now. It's like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day when disaster hits or emergencies pile up or we're all suffering. It's all of us. Because I always tell people, don't wait till it happens to you to care.
Right.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, and because I feel like that's necessary, for growth, and we appreciate you coming out. We just want to leave with, like, where can people find you, like your handle for like Instagram or what social medias,
Yeah, Instagram is Joz Sida for Fontana, so JOZSIDA FONTANA for Fontana, and then my website is sidaforfontana.com. And it's like a landing page. We're still developing it as we talk to more voters and get the platform strong and ready. And then you can always DM me. My team has access. I have access. So if I sign it with Jaws, you're talking to me. And I'm not really on X. I'm not supportive of X. And on TikTok, I'm also Joz Sida for Fontana as well. And you might see some of my comedy there. You might see some of my comedy in other places too. I do have my comedy, and I still try to do comedy here and there because I do think that mental health is important.
Yeah.
And comedy is one of my outlets. Self-care,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And yeah, if you ever want to grab a bite or show me your restaurant or, introduce me to your business or your community or whatever you're going on, if you have music, if you're an artist and you want to perform, like, let me know. I like to host events. I like to create performances. But yeah, let me know. I'm all about bringing in community and building community. So I'm accessible. Just don't threaten me. That'd be weird. That'd be weird because then I'm not accessible to but no, I'm just like being real because I know the environment that we're in. But just know that it all comes with love and care. And I'm really appreciative of you inviting me. I know that there's a lot of work to get done, and you guys are doing such amazing work on just bringing out the voice and like highlighting situations that are going down. And I was excited to be invited, but at the same time, I'm like super proud and I'm excited to come back when I win and be like, remember guys?
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome.
Like, we used to we hosted her.
She was on
We released the episode.
finally.
She said this.
I love it.
Well, tons of luck on the next year. Definitely for sure. Like you have mine and my partner's support, and we're just looking forward to seeing what this year brings us. For sure.
Oh yeah. By the way, I will change the meetings back to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most likely on a Wednesday or Thursday, not a Tuesday. That's just a weird day, especially because people go on vacation. Usually Wednesdays are the best days. And then to bring a lot of sage. We're gonna clean that place up. And then we're gonna change the cortinas y todo, man. Todo.
Metal detector.
And I love that you say that, because like if you're listening to this episode right now, like, and you're part of the working class, like think about it. Can you make a city council meeting on a Tuesday at 2 p.m.? Like, no, most people have two jobs now. Like, so I love that you mentioned about the meetings, because it's also about creating accessibility, right? Yeah. And connection to your constituents, So a huge shout out to you, Joz, for everything that you've accomplished. You're a trailblazer in your own right. And like, we're very blessed to have had you join us today.
Thank you.
So I think with that, we're good to go.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joz. Have a good one.
Thank you.